Hi, this is Karen Burke from RazzleDazzleInk.com. Today I want to share with you a video on how to make this beautiful peekaboo card. When you flip this top open, there's a little peekaboo with a sentiment, and it's just a regular card that opens up. Today I'm going to be using the Timeless Tulips stamp set from Stampin' Up! And I'm also going to use the Tulip Builder Punch. So let's get started. First of all, I am using a piece of soft seafoam green cardstock that I have cut to 4 1/4 by 11, and that is just folded in half. You want a nice crisp crease. This is your card base. Then next I cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stamps from that stamp set and just create a little bit of like a bouquet of tulips on the front. Today I'm going to be using Mary Merlot ink and Mossy Meadow. So the first thing that I'm going to do is stamp my tulips. And I do have a foam mat on the back, bottom of my placemat. This is a photopolymer stamp set, and I find that you get crisper images when you have a mat underneath. So I'm just going to stamp kind of randomly, like a bouquet. Next I'm going to stamp in Mossy Meadow my stem. This is the stem, and this is just going to kind of be a little bit random. Being that these stamps are photopolymer, they're clear and they're easy to see through for positioning. Alright, the last stem. And then what I need to do next is stamp some leaves. I've already mounted my leaf image, and I'm just going to add some leaves right onto the stems. It's alright if everything overlaps. We're going to do some other die cutting afterwards and punching. Alright, so there are my leaves. So now, before I continue, I would like to make my little peekaboo window. And to do that, I am using one of the rectangle stitched frameless dies and a die cutting machine. Now I have my cutting plates here, and this is the important part on how to get that effect. So what you normally would do is lay your cardstock on your plate, lay your die positioned where you want it, and run that through the machine. Well, normally what would happen is you just get a cutout. It cuts out the whole thing. Well, I want my window to stay attached and be scored up here and not cut out. So in order to do that, my cutting plates actually have a bevel right in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this where I want it, and then I'm going to line up the bottom of that bevel with the bottom of my die, so that way the pressure of rolling it through the die cutting machine doesn't push against that part of the die and cause it to cut. So all you do is you line up the bottom of your bevel with the bottom of your die. And I'm going to go run that through my machine just like that. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I die cut this through the machine. Take this off. You can kind of see how that came out. For some reason that didn't cut right there. Let me just snip that. My plate was a little warped. There we go. So now I've created this fun little peekaboo window. I'm just going to fold that up. Okay, Next, what I'm going to do is on some scrap paper, I'm going to stamp some tulips and some leaves and punch them out. So I need 4 tulips, and I'm going to stamp a bunch of leaves, and what we're going to do is use these to layer after we create our window. So I'm just going to spin this around, and you can kind of see how I'm looking at the punch to make sure my stamp is positioned properly. Alright, next I'm going to punch those out. And what I love about the Tulip Builder punch is it lines up perfectly. And I'm going to start on the left hand side. This is designed to punch out the tulip and the leaf at the same time. I'm not doing that, however. So I want to just start on this side, so that way I'm not going to cut into any of my other images that I've punched or stamped. Because if I were to start over here, you can see that that's going to punch right into my flower. So I'm just going to go right across the line, punch these out, lining them up, punch, throw that extra piece away. For some reason my punch is acting up today. Alright, let's try that again. Line it up. I think I have a piece of paper stuck in there. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm back. I got all of my pieces punched out. So I have all my leaves and I have my 4 tulip punched out. So for some reason my punch was being a little persnickety, so I got those all taken care of. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is start building our tulip bouquet. Now the first thing that I want to do before I even mount this to my card is figure out my layout. And the best thing, and you'll see here in my finished sample, is I have a tulip down at the bottom, and when you open that, there's a tulip here. This tulip actually covers that tulip, so it looks like it's in between the leaves, and then I have a partial tulip here too. So it's just all about lining these up to make it look like a bouquet. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my punched out tulips and I'm going to adhere it right over this image. And I'm going to use my Stampin' seal. And I want to just be careful where I put my adhesive. So to get started, I'm just going to use a little bit of adhesive, and I'm just going to simply line this up, placing it right over that image. Alright. Next, I am going to add another flower right here. And I'm just going to put the adhesive down towards the bottom. Alright. And that's just going to add to my bouquet on the inside. And then I'm going to use another one of my punch outs. And I'm going to position that right over here so that way that flower is there. And I'm thinking I may add another leaf here just to fill in that space. So when I put my adhesive, I want my adhesive in the top half. You just have to kind of plan this out a little bit. And for some reason this is not working. I'm having some technical difficulties today. Okay, so we're going to just line the base of that up. So I just built my bouquet up a little bit more. And so now I'm going to take one of my leaves and I'm just going to adhere a leaf down here. Okay. And I'm going to add another flower right in here. And I'm just going to kind of tuck this one under here a little bit, just so that way it looks like a bouquet. Alright, tuck that right on there. Really gives it some additional depth. Glue that there. I have no idea where I just got that ink from. And you can see I add a little too much adhesive on the back. That'll be okay once I tack it down to my card. Alright, so I've got some leaves, got those leaves, and now what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to adhere this to my card base. So, and then I'll add some additional leaves down here at the end once I fill it in. So now I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of this on the frame part only. Alright, make sure my card is opening the right way so I don't have an upside down card, the way things are going today. And let's see, let's glue this down centered. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick on how to use partial words of your stamps. So I'm going to be using this stamp today. It says, "May the memories of yesterday comfort you today." However, I only want part of my stamp on the front of my card. You can see what I'm saying. I used the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I just used part of that stamp on the front, and then on the inside of my window I have "Comfort You Today," the bottom portion. So let me show you how to create that. So I just have die cut in advance 2 shapes out of my Stitch So Sweetly framelits, and I have mounted my stamp. I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'm also going to use some washi tape, and the washi tape is going to act as like a little mask for me. So what I'm going to do is, on my stamp, I'm going to block off with the washi tape, "May the memories of yesterday." So I'm going to block off the bottom part of those words. And now I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm going to remove the washi tape, save that for after, and then I'm going to stamp my greeting. Let's hope I can get that straight. Perfect. Now I'm going to clean this real quick. And then I'm going to reuse my washi tape, and I'm going to position this on the top half of my words. Just take that down. So now just the words "Comfort You Today" are exposed, and I'm going to stamp that on this piece. And now I can remove this washi tape completely and throw it away. And now I can stamp that right in the center of my die cut. So that's a great way to use part of your stamp. I got ink all over my thumb, so I'm going to clean that off. Alright, let me close that before I make more mess. So I've got that. I did die cut a little strip of gold, and I'm going to mount that behind here. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of my shape die cut here. And I'm just going to adhere that right to that. Okay. So I'm going to come back with my card in progress here. And I'm going to adhere this to the inside of my little peekaboo window. Okay, and that fits perfectly. And then what I would like to do is add a dimensional on the back of this and have it pop up just a little bit. So I have some dimensionals, and I'm going to use 2 of them. And let's see, probably only going to use 1 because I want to make sure my window will open. So I'll just add 1 there. Okay, and put it like right about there so it hangs off the edge of the window. And then what I'm going to do is I actually die cut some little leaves out of soft seafoam green and some gold metallic cardstock. And I was going to use these to kind of fill in between the layers, cover up my ink splotches. And let me get my liquid glue for that. It'll be a little easier. I'm going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue. And just put a couple drops on the back here to insert those right into the front of the card. Okay, so and I'm going to place this strategically so I can cover up my little ink splatter there. And then I've got one of these. Okay, put some glue on that. And I'm going to insert that behind that as well. So it just gives a little bit of color and shine. And then I want to also add maybe another leaf here. I think it should go this way. Just to kind of make sure that looks covered. I'm just going to use this glue. And then what I wanted to do also was to add a little ribbon right here to kind of cover that gap. And so what I have today is the crinkled seam binding in white. And I also have the fine gold trim from the Flowers for Every Season combo pack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull these together and I'm going to create my bow tying those at the same time. And I'm going to turn this over here for make it a little easier for the way I tie. So I'm just going to create my loop, keeping those all together. This one's really fine, so you just got to make sure you push them all at the same time. There. Now futz with it a little bit and make it all the right size. Okay. Try to make it look pretty. It's not always easy. And then I do have my ribbon scissors, so I'm just going to trim that off a little bit. Okay, so I've got that, and I'm going to just take one of my mini glue dots. They're on here somewhere. And I'm just going to adhere my ribbon right there. Finish that off. And trim these little things right to length. I just trim them both at the same time so they're the same length. Okay, next. I'm going to finish this off with some of the metallic pearls. And I've got those right here. These are the gold metallic pearls And I'm just going to use my little poker tool here and pull some off. These have adhesive already on the backs of them, so that makes it really easy to stick them down. So we got that. I'm just going to use 3 of them for right now. And I'll put one right here. So that completes my little peekaboo card with the window. And again, it just looks like a little bouquet of tulips. So I hope you like that project. Don't forget, you can check out my website at razzledazzleinc.com and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. I'd love to get some feedback, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So thanks for watching today. See you soon.